Welcome to the Miss Supranational 2022 recap. This is a special one because I am currently in Poland and I was able to attend the pageant in person. My name is Dani Walker. If you're brand new to the channel, I hope that you enjoyed this episode enough to subscribe and hit the notifications bell. Special thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring this episode as well. I was able to attend the pageant and have VIP seats thanks to Joseli, who is the national director for USA and El Salvador. And he produced his first Mr. Supranational United States this year, and then next year he'll be producing the Miss show. So I cannot wait for that. I actually got to host the Mr. edition. I also created a vlog when I hosted that with Katrina, who is Miss Universe Philippines Tourism 2021. So if you want to see that, check it out, I'll link it. First, overall thoughts of the show. I have watched this show online before and everybody has raved about the staging, and I have to say it meets and exceeds the expectation. The staging was so cool this year. There were 3 separate runways and the middle one was my favorite one because it sloped down and then it sloped backwards, and you'll see exactly what I mean in the clips. It was this double slanted runway, and so it kind of doubled the space of it and the width of it. It was just so cool, so cool. And I really like how there was always something interesting going on one of the runways or all 3 of the runways, and how they were able to shift back and forth between the stage and the audience and then backstage. They just did such an incredible job with the flow of this show. I was so impressed by this, by the organization of just the entire thing. It looks beautiful online. It's even better in person. Also, quick mention to the performers of the show. Seriously, they were top notch, all of them. The singers and their dancers, it all went off without a hitch, or at least I didn't notice anything that was off. And the hosts, incredible. They were all bilingual, and maybe they're even trilingual or can speak more languages, but they were fantastic. After the introductions of the show, then we get to see the contestants all walk out for a swim. And here's the thing that confuses me about Supranational that I haven't been able to find the answer to, so if you know, please comment that below. When the contestants come back out for swim during the finale, are the contestants that are already in the top 24 being rescored in some way during this portion? Because that's not really clear to me. I know that they narrow from a 24 to a 12, but when they come out at the beginning, we're not seeing an individual swim walk from the top 24. Instead, they're actually coming out in pairs, so people aren't really having their moment in that time. So I would assume that they're not being scored at that point, or if they are, I would think that the judges already have that list of the top 24 and they know who to pay attention to, which is what some pageant systems do when they score for finals. Now, the first 4 for the top 24 won challenges, and the challenges were Supra Model, the Supra Chat competition, the influencer competition, and then there was one more and I cannot remember off the top of my head. I wasn't very surprised with the results of the top 24, I'll say that, but the contestants that weren't on my radar as much, and I don't believe they were mentioned in my Supra Top Model episode, were Ghana, Ecuador, Trinidad and Tobago, Namibia, Malaysia, Bolivia, and Hong Kong. Not to say that I didn't necessarily notice their performances, but I hadn't put them in my list for standout performances. So obviously if I had been in that interview room, I know that that would have probably swayed all of my decisions, as I'm sure it did for the judges. Now they announced the top 24. And the top 24, what I really like about this is they basically put on this runway show and they can wear whatever they want. So we see this wide variety of styles. And I had a few favorites here for this before they narrowed it down to the top 12. My favorites were Bolivia. I loved the pink on her. I think she had a wonderful walk, great, strong performance, wasn't overdoing it. Definitely a standout for me. Colombia, I have to say, seeing her in person, she is so naturally beautiful. She doesn't wear a lot of makeup on stage in comparison to other contestants, but gosh, she looks so fresh. And I don't know how well that carried across on camera. I think that on camera, it almost looks too natural, but in person, she looks incredible. Czech Republic's dress in person, I gasped. when I saw her dress, I just thought, that's what I wanted to wear to Miss Supranational to watch the show. That's what I envisioned for myself, but I could only pack a dress that fit in my carry-on suitcase, unfortunately. So we didn't get to go all out for this pageant, and you can see all the details for that in the upcoming vlog. It was an adventure to get to this pageant. That's a whole other thing. Then we saw India, and I really like how she wore this modern version of a sari. It was really, really beautiful on stage. It was so fun. Indonesia, she looked like a dancer, almost like a burlesque dancer in a way, or some type of performer, but it was fabulous. It was unexpected. It was almost like this romper thing, but it had fringe, like a very, very short fringe skirt. It was very cute. But I have to say Jamaica really stood out in her cocktail dress in silver. And I love the little shape that she did with the fringe. It was such a nice touch, and it made sense for the garment. I really loved her. I thought she stood out. Then we had my client, Kenya, in the top 24. I've talked about her in other episodes, and I know I can be biased towards my own clients because I know them on a much more personal level, but I'm really happy that she made it into the top 24, and I hope that everybody else was able to see how special that she is. She looked so beautiful, and I can give you a little bit more behind the scenes about her wardrobe because we worked together. This dress was created, and the back of it is made to look like a butterfly to represent transformations. So I really love that the dress itself was very unique. I thought it translated very well on stage. And what I love about her and her walk is always her smile. It's so bright, it's so natural, and that's literally her. That's how she is in person. So it's very, very reflective of her true self. All of her performances are. I must say Peru was somebody that I didn't notice as much leading up to the pageant. And if you saw my live episode where I was getting ready and watching prelims, I watched as much of the prelims as I could before getting to the show. If you saw that, then you'll know that I didn't get to finish watching the preliminary competition. So I didn't get to see everything that Peru did, but she was so stunning to me on stage, and she really stood out during finals night, I have to say, and was one of my favorites for this fashion portion of the competition. Poland, loved her look. Oh my gosh, and she is so tall, by the way. In person, I was blown away. But that white feather top, she looked fantastic, and it stood out on stage. But then we saw South Africa come out, and oh my gosh, she was fabulous in silver. Also feather details here, but oh my goodness, I would love to wear that outfit. It was so fabulous. My guess is that it's custom. Then we had Thailand, and Thailand looked fantastic. She does a lot of these low necklines. I feel like her style, you can see her signature in it, and I like that about her so much, but she looked fantastic in this dress. I was just like, wow. Venezuela, loved this dress. It looked so cool on stage, and it had these pieces that draped down her arms. I would assume that that's a custom piece. I've never seen anything like it. Would I love to wear it? Yes. But I also have to say, she is just so stunning. Oh my goodness. You see her in person, you're like, oh, how is that your face? Vietnam looked amazing. Her and her corsets and that waist. Oh my goodness. You didn't get to see her final pose during the telecast when I went back and watched it, but I'm telling you, she did a fantastic job. I'm gonna take a quick moment to thank the sponsor of this episode. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. Thank you to Skillshare. If you're unfamiliar with Skillshare, it's this place that offers thousands of classes where people like myself and so many others go for personal growth, up-leveling their skills for their business. That's what I use it for. Also, you can find classes that are dedicated to self-care, new skills, and so much more. But the skill that I'm currently working to improve for my vlogs is color grading. Currently, I'm taking color grading from beginning to advanced in Final Cut Pro X by Miles Fernley. And I wanted to learn more about color grading so that the colors in my vlogs are reflective of the mood that I want to create for the vlog. So I hope that you can see the difference in new episodes. Skillshare launches new premium classes every single week. It's incredible because they're ad-free, so you can watch uninterrupted, and they also offer subtitles in French, Spanish, Portuguese, and German. Personally, I love learning on Skillshare. It's my new favorite thing because I am definitely a lifelong learner. And if you want to check it out for yourself, Skillshare is allowing the first 1,000 people who click the link in my description below to get a 1-month free trial. So if that sounds interesting to you, check it out. After the top 24 got to do their walk down the runway, then we got to hear from each of them in 20 seconds why they should be selected as the next Miss Supranational. I love this. I like that it was fast paced and it was fun to watch, and it gives the contestants a moment to say, this is why you should pick me. Of course, I had a few standouts for this. South Africa, first of all, talked about being inspirational and aspirational, which is a part of their motto, essentially. And she talked about hoping to inspire people all around the world. Then she got cut off in this, and clearly that was not a deal breaker, not a big deal for the judges, because she ended up winning, but she moved on to that next round. Thailand, also inspirational. She talked about wanting to be a motivator for people around the world, and that she was saying, if I can do it, you can do it too. Classic message in pageantry, but it seems to work, and honestly, her delivery was great. For me, Peru was very strong. Very strong. Once again, looked incredible in person, looked amazing on camera. Definitely one of my top faves. India did very well, and she had great content in her answer. You can tell that she was very prepared for this. Just so you know, Kenya had one of the best interviews of her life. She talked about everything that we had prepared to share with the judges. Contestants are required to create a from the ground up project, and hers is Women Without Limits, and she addressed this in the interview with the judges. In her answer, she shared about butterflies transforming, which obviously related to the outfit that she was wearing, and she said that she wanted to help people who don't have a second chance, both mentally and physically, and this is at the core of her from the ground up project for Women Without Limits. So the judges knew that, and they were already familiar with it, and that's why I think that answer, not only was it well said and she got the audience cheering, but the judges knew exactly what she was referencing. I have to say, I loved Venezuela's eye contact with the camera. She was so confident immediately right there, just seeing the delivery, and it wasn't too strong, it wasn't harsh. Just how she spoke directly to the camera was incredibly confident. So right there, she was in my top 5. Indonesia, another very confident speaker. She talked about representing people whose dreams are constrained. So very, very beautiful, inspiring message. Mauritius, I have to say, her answer was going very, very well, but she did get cut off, and clearly though, here's another case where that did not seem to matter to the judges because she advanced. Vietnam also got cut off, but I liked the beginning of her answer as well. She talked about if she were chosen that she would be impactful not only in Vietnam, but around the world, and then she had this other great messaging, but we didn't get to hear the end of it. Now they narrowed down to a top 12 for gown, and our top 12 were Vietnam, Mauritius, Czech Republic, Indonesia, Colombia, Venezuela, Kenya, India, Peru, Thailand, South Africa, and Poland. Now let's talk favorite gowns. If you watch the channel, you know I'm not a huge fan of green gowns. I just feel like they don't translate so well on stage, but I must say, if anybody's gonna look great in a green gown, it's gonna be Colombia, and boy did she ever. Oh my gosh, this gown was one of my favorites. And it's kind of funny because the moment that she stepped out on stage, the lighting on stage just happened to be green. I don't know if that was actually on purpose, but it was just a moment seeing her enter on stage. Then we had Czech Republic. I don't feel that her gown translated as well when I went back to watch the telecast, but in person, the way that that gown shined, I just wish you could have all seen it in person because it was just glistening. She was just head to toe dripping in stones. India looked really beautiful, but I felt like she got lost for gown. I feel like she really made an impact during the Supra model competition, but there was just something about this ending performance for her that night, and when she wasn't announced into the top 5, I wasn't surprised because of watching the other contestants' performances for gown. Indonesia, love the gown, love the hair, love the confidence, all of it. Kenya, my sweet client. Behind the scenes knowledge, friends. She changed her gown from prelims to finals. I was really happy with the gown change. If you saw her prelims gown, it was this kind of lavender periwinkle, beautiful gown, and it had feathers on the side. And then we went with a sexier look for finals, this red. What people wouldn't know is that neither of these were her gowns. We actually had custom gowns created for her that were phenomenal, that would have been amazing, but they didn't arrive in time. So the week before the pageant, she had to go buy some gowns. So she decided to wear some Sherry Hill gowns. She had a third option as well. She had this other Sherry Hill couture gown, which I've seen quite a few contestants wear. I've actually had 2 contestants wear the gown. I didn't even choose it for them, and they ended up wearing it. It was this beautiful fringe Sherry Hill gown, but it was hard for her to walk in, and because it was last minute, she didn't have time to get it altered. So that's the type of stuff that happens. There's a little behind the scenes for you. Peru was gorgeous. I thought that the gown was very safe though. It was beautiful, but it's something that of course we see a lot of in pageants, and nothing wrong with a metallic gown. I have no problems with a sheer metallic gown, but there's gotta be something a little bit special about it. Then South Africa came out in this beautiful corseted gown. I will say the bodice of her dress, it reminded me a lot of Sherry Hill couture gowns that are fully stoned. There were all sorts of different colors. There were stones, there were opals in it, or like moonstones is what it looked like. And it was gorgeous. It was stunning. Just the way that it shined. Thailand changed her gown from prelims to finals, and I am not even sure which one I preferred more, because I actually really loved her Universe Thailand gown on her, and I would have loved to have seen her bring that back, but I don't know if she borrowed that gown or if she has access to it. So I think that that would have been a better gown for finals. Venezuela's gown. Oh my gosh, she walked out in that. It looks great on camera, yes. 1,000 times better in person. So much better. It doesn't even compare to what you see on YouTube. Vietnam's gown, that's another dress that it looked okay on the telecast, but in person, my chair makes noises. In person though, wow. The top 5 were Vietnam, Indonesia, Thailand, South Africa, and Venezuela. My goodness, talk about sash factor countries here though, right? Whew. It was a tough top 5. Vietnam was asked for her final question, do you believe striving for excellence is positive or negative? And she said, I believe it's positive if you think it's positive. I try my best to improve and be the best version of myself. I thought that she had a great answer. Strong answer, solid. Indonesia, they asked her, are the concerns of the young or elderly more important? And I felt that she didn't really answer the question, and that's what resulted in her placement. She said, we're a young generation and we can start young to create leaders, or something like that. This seemed to be more of an either or question. Do you think the needs of the youth or the elderly are more important? Which one? And I just felt like she avoided addressing that. Thailand, loved this. Let's take a little quick note on Thailand, a little lesson we can learn from her, or you can learn from her, because I'm not competing anymore. She was asked the question, and then she asked for a translator. The translator clearly wasn't initially offered to her. The translator wasn't just standing there on stage already, and she took a moment to say, can I have this translator? Although she does speak English, I thought that this move was very smart, because of course it's going to be easier to deliver an eloquent answer in your native language. You're going to be able to use further developed vocabulary in your answer. So I thought it was very smart that she said her answer in Thai, and you could see how confident she was. It was simple for her. And then she had it translated. Her question was, is family still relevant in the modern world? And she says family is very important, but unfortunately not everyone has a family or a great family. But it's everyone's duty to make the world a better place by being the family for one another. It was so sweet. It was so heartfelt. What a wonderful answer. I loved it. Now, South Africa, what a queen. I always talk about how great they are in their on-stage answers, and she really sealed the deal here. So she was asked, why do people fear losing things they don't have? And she says, I used to suffer from that. I think that it stems from perfection. People suffer from feeling discontent, and I think that if we change our mentality and have an attitude of gratitude, essentially that could be changed or addressed. Roughly, that's what she said. It was fantastic. It was great, and I expected no less from her. This was the kind of answer I was actually expecting at Miss Universe. Then Venezuela was asked, will people of the future look back at us in time the same way we look at people from the past? And I felt that she didn't really answer the question here. She just shared an inspiring and encouraging message. She talked about the importance of believing in yourself. You should believe in yourself and keep the faith. But like I said, I feel like she wasn't direct with her answer. Then the results were, and there was no surprises here for me personally, I feel like what happened during this show is that the contestants all earned their way through the rounds. They made it to the top 24 with their preliminary scores. They made it into the top 12 because of their performance in the top 24, and then they made it into the 5 because of the top 12 performance. And then right here in the top 5, I feel like what determined the ranking was just that onstage question and answer and not an overall performance. Because Venezuela, who, as I said, didn't really answer the question, was 4th runner-up. Indonesia, I felt the same way about her, although I did think her answer was just a little bit stronger. So she was 3rd runner-up. Vietnam, 2nd runner-up. Great solid answer, but it was nothing that put her over the top. Like with Thailand though, who was 1st runner-up, and her answer was quite heartfelt, very nice. And then South Africa though, very, very well-developed, eloquent answer here. She was really showcasing her supra speaking abilities during her final question and answer. So I'm very excited for South Africa. What a wonderful moment. This is the first Miss South Africa to win the supra title. And I will say, watching the show, I was sitting by her team and they were talking to her throughout the show in between breaks, and somebody said to her, they said, "You got this." And she looked back because the way that we were positioned on the runway was actually behind me. So in front of me was the stage, I was on the side of the runway, and then the end would have been here. So I was watching her and I would glance back and she would glance back at us. And she responded essentially, "Yes, I do got this," right before she went on for her onstage questions. So she was very, very confident. I feel like she wasn't worried about it. She knew she could do it, and she did it. So congratulations, South Africa. I hope you enjoyed this episode and that you will choose to also check out the chaos of the vlog. Yeah, it's gonna take me a little bit of time to edit it, but keep an eye out for it. It's gonna be interesting. And if you wanted to see my other Supra episodes, then you can check out these episodes here. Or if you want to follow my coverage of Miss Universe or Miss USA, I also have some new episodes for that as well. So be sure to check them out. Thanks for joining me today. I hope to see you next time.